Welcome to Adelaide Airport. Gee, it's a bit weird being here during the daytime. Hey guys, it's Luke, and welcome to another series of vlogs. It is really weird being here at Adelaide Airport during the day, because usually I'm flying somewhere where I have to either catch an early international flight or just be there early. So this is a real treat. And speaking of real treats, I'm never usually here at the time of day to actually appreciate a bit of aviation history. So while we're a bit early for the flight and here while things are actually open, let's go and do a bit of exploring of Adelaide Airport. It used to be pretty obvious where the Vickers Vimy was, because back when I was younger, it used to have its own little pavilion, like smack bang, right in the middle of the airport car park. Now, that's the relatively new airport hotel. You've got the entrance there to the terminal, and you'll find the entrance to the Vickers Vimy exhibition all the way over here. Now, I'm probably absolutely murdering. It's probably Vimy, but I apologize. I'm going to say Vimy. I'll probably be corrected at some point during the exhibition. We'll see. So you used to be able to easily find the Vickers Vimy exhibition because it used to have its own pavilion when I was younger, like smack bang right in the middle of the airport car park. Since they've built the new airport, obviously that pavilion no longer exists. They took the opportunity that presented itself to give the plane a bit more of a restoration and its own little fancy exhibition pavilion in the far corner of the airport. So let's go in and have a look at the first plane that travelled from England to Australia. Quite an impressive feat of engineering for its time, but I struggle to fly across the Pacific on our modern aircraft. And this thing carried 4 people from England to Australia. Yeah, no thank you. But quite an impressive feat back in 1919, just a few months after the conclusion of World War I. Our then Prime Minister, I believe it was £10,000, for whoever could travel from England to Australia first. So, Ross Smith and Keith Smith and 2 other guys. I'm sorry, I think one of them's Wally. I don't quite remember the other guy. If I remember or if I see the name of the other guy around here, I'll let you know. But yeah, they headed off. There was, from what I remember, there was a lot of back and forth about how this would just end in disaster and it really shouldn't be done in the first place. Especially so close, you know. Australia at this point was reeling after, I think, close to 50 to 70,000 deaths just in World War I. So, yeah. But wow, that's a plane. That's a really gorgeous plane. So yeah, Wally Shears and Jim Bennett were the other 2. Right here. There we go. James Bennett, Walter Shears, and here we are, Keith Smith and Ross Smith. Now, the reason that I kind of know a bit about this off the top of my head, my sister actually went to a high school that was built where these guys actually landed the aircraft in South Australia. And since then, it went from Northfield High School to Ross Smith Secondary, and now it's basically just a housing development like everything else is in South Australia, where they've actually got, basically, it kind of commemorates the landing of the Vickers Vimy right here. So anyway, let's head back into the airport and have a look around. Oh look, we've actually had an international flight land. The things you see when you actually come here during the day. Wow, airport security doesn't look too bad for 11 o'clock in the morning. Moving quite smoothly. Because I only have a carry-on, I don't need to check in a bag, so that helps our process a bit more.
A few moments later.
And we are through. So we're heading in the opposite direction, but let's head this way first, just to show you what Adelaide Airport has. Of course, there's shops aplenty of our local produce here. Kangaroo Island, Barossa Valley, just anything local. If you need sunglasses, UGG, not sure if that's the Australian UGG or the American UGG. Big contention over who owns the trademark there. So down this way is basically where anything that isn't a Qantas owned airline is basically down this side of the airport. So whether it be Virgin or international flights, all that sort of thing, usually down this side.
Virgin Australia, paging Catherine here. Could you please make yourself known to staff at gate 12?
Get in your last port for souvenirs here. That's not too bad of a hat. Interesting. No worries. There's like no heaps good merchandise. I'm surprised there's no heaps good merchandise here. That's something that probably needs to be fixed, because that's a very South Australian thing. Kids kaboom, puzzles, Lego, toys. R.I.P. the Hungry Jacks that used to be there. So basically, yeah, airport's just a overpriced shopping mall these days. Even for duty-free items, it's quite interesting. Of course, can't go really anywhere in any airport without a W.H. Smith. Bar for some Asian cuisine. And this pretty much brings us to the end. For those with a limited appetite, there's a McDonald's. Quite honestly, one of the worst airport McDonald's I ever go to. Usually because I'm only there again first thing in the morning. And to celebrate Illuminate Adelaide, which is coming up in July. One of the installs which they usually have is the light benches up and down North Terrace. Pharmacy. There's the Virgin Lounge. So there we are, there's the international departures. More gates over there to the Virgin Lounges. And there you go. So that's pretty much the non-Qantas side of Adelaide Airport. So now for the journey all the way back to the other end of the airport, because I am catching a Qantas flight today from Adelaide to Sydney, and might even make a stop off in the Qantas Lounge if there is availability today, just for a bit of a bite. I didn't actually have any breakfast or lunch this morning. I mean, it's only 11:20 now, I think, 11:15. So yeah, I haven't had breakfast yet. See what they're serving if I'm allowed in, and show you guys what the selections are. So back down the long walk to the Qantas end of the airport. This airport almost reminds me of the Salt Lake City airport, except that airport has character. This one, slowly getting there, but it still just feels more like a sterile shopping mall than like an inviting place to be. Maybe in a few years' time when they're done. Although I don't think this airport will ever be finished. It's always in a perpetual state of construction. And so on the Qantas side of the airport, so further back here, so this area can be used for both domestic and international. At the moment, it's an Air New Zealand flight to, oh my goodness, where is this Air New Zealand flight going? Yeah. So you have to go downstairs to get to the international departure lounge, and then they make you go back upstairs again just to get back to the gate. I believe that will be changing very soon with the construction of the international extension of this airport. So that would be cool. So in the middle here is the international section. You'll see over there's another glass wall. That's the Virgin section. And then we go over here. You see all the Qantas planes lined up there and the glass wall there. That's the Qantas side of the airport. And here we have another South Australian icon, Cooper's Ale. Surprised they don't have like a Nippies or a Golden North milk bar here. Gosh. I mean, I'd apologise to the people sitting next to me on the plane, but I'd definitely go an ice cream and a chocolate milk right here. And another relatively new one is the Pirate Life Brewery. It's a Port Adelaide microbrewery. JB Hi-Fi.
Virgin Australia is
So mini electronics store, kind of like a Best Buy for my American friends.
Virgin Australia engaging Mark to reporter. Could you please make yourself known?
Speaking of nippies, here we go. Of course, another W.H. Smith. And pretty much after this muffin break, there is basically nothing. Just a long concourse of airport gates. And there we go. So as you can see, Adelaide Airport is, it's cute, it's quaint, but ultimately it's really, it's an underwhelming airport. So let's check out the Qantas Lounge. So Adelaide Airport used to have just the one lounge. Now they've split that into two lounges. You have Qantas Club and the Business Lounge. This one here is the Qantas Club Lounge. While there is a barista on deck, pretty much from open to close, the bar, however, opens at midday. And compared to the Business Lounge, there is a smaller selection of food, and much to my dismay, no pop cake maker. And I judge an airport lounge harshly on its pop cake maker. And if you've watched any of my previous vlogs, you know I love me a pop cake. Like when I stayed at the hotel in Utah, that just automatically got 5 stars in my book for having a pop cake maker. But what we do have here at the Qantas Club at 11 a.m. is a selection of cold meats, rabbit food and condiments. And on the other side here, some fresh scones, cream and Beerenberg strawberry jam. Further down the end, a selection of breads for toasting. And finally, right down the end, some bean mix, corn chips, and curried pumpkin soup and some bread rolls. I've decided to go with the soup, and like with my chicken soup, used some corn chips here for croutons. And just a quick change of scenery for some scones and some Beerenberg jam. That was the Qantas Club Lounge. And now begins our long trek to gate 21. Just kidding, it's right there. So, our flight should be boarding in the next 5 minutes. Although I'm in group number 4, so I have a bit. Let's have a look at the plane we'll be flying today. As well as the city of Adelaide. And I will see you on the flippity flop in Sydney. And we have arrived in Sydney.
Can you get the bag of the parcel before you go through to
unlike Adelaide Airport, this terminal, Terminal 3 here, is entirely dedicated to Qantas flights. So if you need to jump on an international flight or a Jetstar flight or a Virgin flight, you need to leave this terminal, like physically go outside, leave this terminal and head to another one. But if you headed to somewhere else in this country on a Qantas flight, there's plenty of other gates. So all the way down there is where we entered. All the way up there. So right now we're just outside here at the Lego store at Terminal 3. Again, Australia doesn't actually have any official Lego stores. They're all licensed stores, which, if you like to buy your Lego from the Lego store online, you can't use your points in the stores here, and vice versa. You can't use your points that you earn purchasing stuff from these Lego stores on the Lego online shop either. So, meh. Anyway, it's time to actually head into the city. Drop my bag off. Well, drop the stuff out of my bag, because I still need the bag for an umbrella and the camera, and head off into town. Ooh, that's cool. Giving kind of a steak and shake vibe. All right. Way out. Thank you. And to get into Sydney from the airport, we take the train. Another thing Adelaide doesn't have is a train. I mean, Melbourne doesn't have one yet either, but I think they're working on it. So we want to head all the way down past baggage carousel number 1 and head down into the dungeon of Sydney Domestic Airport. Down, down, down we go. A little bit of a power boost. Nice. Back to normal speed walking.
Dr. Grant, my dear Dr. Sattler, welcome to Airport Link.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I do have an Opal card, but costs just as much to tap with your credit card than it does if you're a regular passenger without a concession. When we were landing, it was bucketing outside. So here's hoping it's settled down a bit. I did bring an umbrella, but just for the sake of traveling light, I didn't bring a rain jacket. Thankfully, we just get off at Museum, which, if you watched one of my last vlogs from last year, you'll remember it's one of my favourite stations. And then pretty much just straight down Liverpool Street to the accommodation for this weekend. So fingers crossed it's either not too windy so I can use the umbrella, or not too wet so I can just skip it entirely. Look at that. City Circle via Museum anyway. So pretty lucky there.
This station is domestic airport.
And up the stairs we go. Whew. Up the stairs. My arch nemesis. Lovely. And up we go to Liverpool and Elizabeth Street. It looked like it was sprinkling a little bit. It seems to have come to a stop. Oh. And there we go. Adelaide to Sydney. Amazing. Oh, wow. This is what a real city looks like. Who would have thunk? I am actually quite happy because this is my weather. This is the perfect adventuring weather. Rain, cold, a gentle breeze. Oh, we're going to do some exploring if this keeps up. Oh, hello Sydney, I am in you. Oh, so good to be breathing another city's polluted, disgusting air. It really is. All right, let's keep going. Also keeping a mind out to keep an eye out for some food places. I'm staying pretty much right in Chinatown, so I don't think I'll be spoilt for options as far as Chinese food, Asian, Southeast Asian cuisine goes. But it'd be good to know what else is around. Yeah, I'm gonna go this way. Shits and giggles. Because I saw that bull statue and I'm like, I want to look at it. So that's what I'm gonna do. Oh look! It's Duffy, the cash grab there. Oh. And I don't know the rest of the names except Ulu. Ulu is really the only one that has a right to exist because of Aulani. Hot take there. And there we go. Cool. Well, that was definitely worth the detour. Love it. Let's keep exploring. Ooh, flappies. I tried flappies last time I was here, and it sucked. So I'm staying away from flappies.
Oh, you know that we're going to get significantly more responsibility at hard work.
A diabetes store. Pretty sure I just somehow ended up in World Square without knowing it. Let me see. Nope, that sign's not very helpful. Well, I'm back at Liverpool, so I must be in World Square. Yes, OX, of course. World Square, there we go. Which means this is George Street, and there's a sign to prove it. Man, so pedestrian friendly. It is so weird. I'm still not over the fact that that's just for trams. That's crazy. Come on, Adelaide, do that to King William Street. I dare you. Oh, pub. Alrighty. Someone's turning 3. Congratulations. Oh, there you go. That kind of makes sense. There you go. Sydney Party Warehouse right here on Liverpool Street. Well, one thing is for certain, I definitely won't be spoilt for choice of food. Just stepping outside of my apartment while I'm here. So that'd be nice. Alrighty. Oop. Thank goodness there's no stairs.
Level 16.
Oh. This is cozy. Very nice and cozy. And the view. Hello, Sydney. There we go. An unobstructed view of an obstructed view. I mean, in New York, they'd call this an unobstructed view. Even comes with a swimming pool. So that's cool. Time to unpack my stuff and head out and do some more exploring. Well, now my accommodation is all set up and done. It's time to head across the bridge and just meander our way across. And something that I found out just purely by accident after booking my tickets to the IMAX is that this weekend is the beginning of Sydney's Vivid Festival, which is Adelaide has Illuminate, Sydney has Vivid, a light festival. So there'll be events going on during the weekend and for a few weeks this month, which will be pretty cool to check out. But for now, we'll check and see if these Chinese Garden of Friendship is still open. Because right now, at this time of day, I think it'll give quite a nice mood. Okay, Well, it definitely looks like something that we do when we have more than 20 minutes. So we'll come back and explore these beautiful gardens in another video. Kind of like when you're in New York and you see the Empire State Building, you know you're in New York. And you see the Centre Point Tower, or the Sydney Eye, or whatever you choose to call it these days. You kind of know you're in Sydney. Just so happy to be here in Sydney, just out of Adelaide for a weekend. It was really nice, and I know how lucky I am to be able to travel like this. Like heck, I just wanted to see a movie. I mean, the times that I've just flown to Sydney just to see a movie, my goodness, I know how lucky and entitled a move that is. But just the ability to travel itself is just such a great privilege. Ugh. So good. But as the sun goes down, man cannot live on soup and scones alone. Well, I can't anyway. So I'm gonna head to Betty, have a Betty's double, enjoy that, and then head to the IMAX for Mandalorian and Grogu. So right now I'm using an ultra wide angle lens to get the whole screen in. This is the second largest IMAX GT screen in the world. The first being Melbourne Museum. But unlike Melbourne Museum, this auditorium is digital only. Melbourne Museum still show 1570mm if I was to use a normal standard 16mm lens. There you go, a little bit there on the bigger side. So basically when you're watching it, it kind of fills your peripheral. When you film for IMAX, you basically film for around here, and just everything else kind of just is peripheral. Which is why generally IMAX doesn't translate well to home media. Which is why I really don't get why people make a big deal about, oh, you didn't release the IMAX version at home. I mean, sure, it's nice to have. Mainly if it's a 3D release, I can understand, because it definitely gives 3D the room to breathe. But when it's a standard 2D release and a proper IMAX planned film, the extra aspect ratio is just basically wasted real estate at the end of the day. But, gosh, 3 minutes till the session begins. I just hope it doesn't suck. It's the first Star Wars movie in a long time in cinemas. And it's The Mandalorian. So, I don't expect it to be Rogue One. But I at least hope it's something that gets the juices and the excitement for Star Wars flowing once again. So, on that note, I'll see you guys after the movie. that was The Mandalorian and Grogu on the world's second largest IMAX screen. And thank you, Jon Favreau, for going to the effort of doing that, because it was pretty good. Definitely worth the trip from Adelaide here to Sydney to see that. Just threw everything in the ILM toolbox at it. It did not feel like the TV show, which even in some instances, the TV show itself didn't feel like a TV show, but this more so did not feel like the TV show, which I think was probably a bit of a disconnect for some reviewers. They're going in expecting a Star Wars movie, but at the same time expecting a Star Wars movie that felt like a TV show, and they got neither, which I guess they didn't know what to do with it. And of course, reviewers, when they get something that they don't know what to do with it, they hate it. So either way, if you love Star Wars and if you love Mandalorian, it's a great movie. What can I say? It's got Grogu, it's got the Mandalorian, it's got action, it's got a buff Hutt. I mean, that's pretty much all you need, really. Of course, Dave Filoni pokes his head in a couple of times and says hello, just to remind us, that's the future of Star Wars. Apparently, the Force is not female anymore. No, sorry. Anyway, so on that note, before I get myself into any more trouble, I'll bid you a good night here for the first night in Sydney. Au revoir, everyone.